No, and it's Wednesday night. It's just a little before 8 o'clock, actually, and it's time for the pastor's chat. So, sorry, just turning on my microphone there. So, yeah, this is when I come on, usually around 8 o'clock, and I'm just a bit early because it's a little different tonight. We have, because we're into Lent, we decided to put on a Wednesday evening mass. And so, okay, how are we doing that? Well, Father Joshua is actually celebrating the mass right now and preaching, and then that will go into a time of adoration and confession. They'll go on probably until about at least 9 o'clock, so about an hour, and we'll kind of go from there. So that makes sense. I just want to come on a little bit early because I want to be finished the pastor's chat before Father Josh finishes mass, so that I can be there to hear confession. So again, busy, which is good. This is what happens when I think we start to open up again. You know, this has been a long process. Coming out of COVID, I think we kind of imagined when most of the restrictions were lifted back in Easter time, we kind of, I don't know what I imagined, but it would be relatively simple. Like things would just kind of get back to normal and we'd kind of take off from there. But the reality is it's taking quite a bit longer. It's almost coming up on a year now. And I feel like we're just kind of getting back, not maybe entirely where we were before, but it feels a bit more like before. When things are on, most nights there's something happening in the church and things are happening maybe on a smaller scale, but we had almost 70 or 80 people at Mass this morning, and there's another 50 or 60 here tonight. That's a good thing. And what's really pleasing is this is for people who work or people, families that kids go to school, and there really is no opportunity for them to go to daily Mass. So I've always wanted to do this. This is something, to do on a Wednesday evening. It's been traditionally the night for meetings in the parish. We have Knights of Columbus, CWL. They meet on Wednesday nights, as do a lot of my own meetings. The nights are the finance committee and some of the other various committees used to. But I don't have to. I think that's the thing. Why don't we keep Wednesday as Wednesday evening as a ministry night? I'd really love to keep this Mass going, even after we get back into Easter time and even beyond. If people are interested and they continue to come out to it, we'll continue to have it. It just kind of makes sense. We'll have an evening where we'll have, again, adoration, confession, Mass. It's one of the priests, Father Roland from Madonna House, said this years ago, that you live your life between two Eucharists, your last and your next. And he almost described it as a telephone poles holding up wires, right? This is what telephone poles do. And it's kind of good sometimes to put an extra pole so the wire doesn't sag too much. So if you have the space between Sunday to Sunday, that's your typical kind of, Eucharistic practice for most people. If they come to church, it's usually once a week. Why don't we put another pole up in the middle and kind of just take the sag out of the line? Now, if you're retired, it's pretty straightforward. We have Mass here every day at 9 o'clock, including Sunday. So that's kind of been standardized. And I think that's helpful. So that's good. Including Saturday, including Monday. Not that many parishes do that, but we have the extra priests, so we're able to do that. But what about if you work? What's the deal for you? So this is it. So we start tonight with this new Mass. I think it'll go on for a while. It makes it a bit busy on Wednesdays, but there we are. That's the plan. So new Mass starting tonight, and we'll continue throughout Lent, next 4 or 5 weeks, and then I think into Easter and hopefully beyond if people kind of can support it. So if you didn't know about it or you're just hearing about it now, please consider, if you want to come out and experience Mass as weather starts to get a bit warmer, it's going to be a little bit lighter. It's just good. Right now it's still cold and dark, but we're getting there. Stations of the Cross, that also begins on Fridays. So this is something that's coming up this Friday. I think it's going to be the young people are going to put it on. I think not our youth group, but some of the young people who are getting ready for First Communion. It's kind of neat. This is, again, a new thing that we're trying to do is incorporate families and different groups into leading things like the Stations of the Cross. So that's going to happen on Friday. And the other big thing is the Holy Week Adventure. If you've never seen this is really quite the show. We put this on last year, and I think it was really successful. It's sort of an interactive way to enter into Holy Week, particularly for younger people. And the schools came over, and I think are going to do again this year. And so these little skits at various stations throughout the church, and the young people go from one to the next, to the next, to the next. And it's all the classic scenes from Holy Week. So they're able to enter in, and that'll be the Friday just before I think Palm Sunday. I'm pretty sure it's the 31st of March. So that's what's coming up there. I'm reading some of these because we tried to do this on Sunday, and I have to admit, I kind of messed up. The camera wasn't working, so it kind of messed up things a little bit. Seniors Mass, again, March 12th, so it's coming up as well. And it's again, we have a witness talk and Mass usually at noon. That's going to make a busy day. There'll be 3 Masses that day. But that's all good. And again, you have to register, not for the Mass. That's not a problem, but they need to know how many people are coming so that they can put out the dinners. Okay. Another big thing we're doing is tomorrow night, actually, is Behold. The Behold is again, kind of a praise and worship, adoration, confession night. It's going to come right after this one, so it's almost like we're competing against ourselves. So it's tomorrow night, but it's the first Thursday of the month. And that's something else we want to continue on. So once a week, we put up another telephone poll, and then once a month, we put up another one. And this is sort of the kind of thing that if somebody who, there isn't Mass at that, but adoration and worship and, talking to a priest or confession, these are things that maybe people who haven't been in the church for a while, or they're just trying to find a way back, or they're just kind of curious about what we do and how we do it. That's a good thing to bring people to. We want to build it up first probably for our own selves, and then that's something we would use, to bring other people to faith, and just an experience of God. Like, I think this is interesting. There's a big revival going on in the States right now in this little Catholic chaplaincy. I'm not even sure where it is. I think it's in Kentucky, but it just had a simple adoration, and it's been going on now for almost 2 months, I think, and thousands of people have been touched by God. So who's to say? Maybe we could be the next little revival that's happening. But we have to be engaged, right? You have to be inviting. You have to have opportunities to pray and be in the presence. So this is what we're trying to do. Finally, the house, the youth group is also continuing to meet. It seems like we've had a string of snowstorms on either Thursday or Friday, so it's always a bit tough. I think we're getting more snow on Friday. But it's going on. I'm pretty sure there's no talk of canceling, so that's good too. So our youth group continues to build up. Juliana Squire is in charge of that, and I think she's doing a pretty nice job. Just coming out of COVID, trying to put things back and get that ministry up and moving again. And really, I think we've done quite well. It's really quite nice to see the young people. They just kind of touch your heart to see the young people in church and to see these young people kind of connecting with each other now, which is really kind of a nice thing. So there it is. If anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box, and I can maybe respond in time. But so not anything. My musings have been a little less of late. I've been pretty busy. I did have a great ski. I mean, people think I missed last week. I was away at Mont Tremblant with some old friends of mine from seminary. These are guys I went to school with, like 30 years ago. It's just hard to believe. And just to get out and do something different. For Canadians, it's one of two ways. Either you get south where it's a little bit warmer, and that's always nice to walk on a beach or just to feel, to see green stuff and to be in the sun. That's nice. The other way to do it is to kind of embrace winter. If you can do that, if you're an outdoor skier or downhill or cross country, or people like to play hockey, people like to hike with snowshoe and things. That's another way. Where you, rather than running away from winter, we run into winter. And I just think it's a good thing. So again, spending some time up near Tremblant, it was just to get out, get some sun, do some downhill skiing, some cross-country skiing, a couple of hikes in the hills. It was just great. And playing some crib. Just kind of being, just, we had a pretty good routine. People wonder sometimes, like, what do you do on your vacation? Do you say Mass? And yeah, we're pretty regimented. We had Mass every day. It was a little strange because it just happened to be reading week, and one of the priests was a professor at part of King's College or St. Peter's Seminary, so that was his week off. So it happened to fall on Ash Wednesday, so we went to the local parish in town just for that night, which is kind of neat. And we had morning prayer and evening prayer and this little monastery kind of thing, and played a lot of crib. It was great. So there it is. So my good people, so a little scattered tonight. It's been a full-on week, and I'm just going to get my feet back in to the parish, and I'm still trying to do this before. So I know I've changed the time a little bit to get in before Mass ends, so I can be ready to hear confessions. But all in all, doing all right. I think for me personally, once you get through January and February, those are the cold months. So today's March 1st. So it's not that spring is here. We're a long way from spring. Well, 2 more weeks officially. But you start thinking about it. Like the pavement starts to get warm, and the ice starts to melt. And yeah, we're going to get more snow. Sometimes we get a lot of snow in March. But you're getting to the back end of it. And even now I can feel like the temperatures seem to be not as cold. You know, like you're getting closer to zero and even above zero. I think it's been kind of really, other than a couple cold snaps, I think it's been a pretty mild winter. So you can start to think about it. Like up until now, I don't even think about it. But at the end of March, okay, what do I want to do with the boat this year? Like, is there any big projects that I have on? You know, if the people who are gardeners can start thinking about, okay, what do I want to plant? Maybe this is even time if you're starting some seedlings indoors. This is the time you would start to do that. Think about what's it like to cut grass again and just to see the leaves again. So it gives hope. It's not by accident that the Easter falls where it does. I think it's all part of the teaching of that, the springtime and the sign of new hope, that life comes back, and that's what we experience in the Northern Hemisphere as we move into this season. It's always my favorite time of year. I don't hate the winter, but I do look forward to the spring, and just a little bit milder, a little bit more freedom in getting outdoors a little bit more. And then hopefully, again, as I say, it's hard to imagine. It seems like years and years ago, but last year this time, that's really, we're still in COVID, right? We're still had quite a few restrictions. We were kind of getting by, but it was still pretty tough, you know, to run your typical week. And this spring, for the first time, I feel, in really, 3 years, we have the freedom to really do what we need to do, in celebrating Easter and really getting out and getting back to life. So I hope that finds you well. I hope you do enjoy your time. I hope you do have something to look forward to in the next month or two as things get warmer, as the days get longer, and as more freedom getting outside and getting this whole pandemic behind us. May the good Lord watch over, guide, and protect you. May the saints and angels intercede for you. May our Blessed Mother wrap you in the mantle of her peace. May God bless you and keep you now in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Take care. God bless. And continue Lent, man. Hang in there. It's worth it. It's getting better.